This is episode 183 of the Guardian Project podcast, and I'm your conductor of cacophonies, Andy.
And I'm a hoarding recluse, Mike Coyle.
Please listen carefully.
And this is the podcast about Commander.
Our favorite Magic the Gathering format. And this week, we're helping Santa determine whether or not your cards are naughty or nice.
Yeah, he needed some help, and we said, we got you.
Yeah.
We're gonna do all the heavy lifting and figure out if the card should make the nice list or if it's gonna be put on the naughty list and get a lump of coal.
Right.
We got a lot of cards sent to us by our patrons, folks on Twitter, and we picked some ourselves, and we're gonna assign them to those lists.
Luckily, there are no cards with furnaces on this list, which would actually prefer coal over a gift.
True.
Yeah.
And this is also factual and a definitive list.
Yes.
And this is where they belong.
Correct.
It's not biased at all.
And Santa is also real and did actually talk to
and
us.
said, you have to do this.
Correct.
But before we do that, we got our first look at Phyrexia, All Will Be One, and learned that there's going to be 10 Planeswalker cards in the set, which makes me excited because I feel like we're coming up to the next set that might be like War of the Spark.
Yeah.
Where a bunch of Planeswalkers are just going to come together.
Well, I think this is it, right? This is the War of the Spark.
I don't think so, because we have the set, I think is it March of the Machines, which is where it's showing in at least some of the promotional art other planes, characters that are not Planeswalkers fighting together.
You don't think it'll be more like a Dominaria where there's just like a ton of legendary creatures, but also Planeswalkers? So I guess it could be both.
I think it's going to be both.
Okay.
I think it's the end game of Magic. But so let's take a look
of Magic. This is the end game of Magic.
The end game, the Marvel's end game.
Marvel end game. Oh my goodness! I was like, this is where Magic is done.
No. So let's take a look, and we're gonna make some predictions. So we found out there's 10 Planeswalkers. 5 of them will not make it out uncompleted. So 5 of them are going to be Phyrexianized.
Yes.
And we've got Jace, Kaito, Kaya, Koth, Nahiri, Nissa, Tyvar, Vraska, the Wandering Emperor, and Luca. And we know that Koth already, we've seen Koth's card, is not going to be Phyrexianized. So the other 9,
they are going to be Phyrexianized cards. We know it's not like
there's
Koth, and then later in the story he goes.
There's like what if card art that we've seen, but 5 of them will truly be Phyrexian. They will be completed
as cards.
Okay,
cool.
So my prediction that I posted online was that we were going to lose Kaito, Nissa, Tyvar, Vraska, and I think I picked Luca.
Yeah, I think honestly, like I think every list should include Luca. Phyrexianize Luca. I don't really like Luca very much.
Luca's definitely a big old villain, and
he's got a bad past, right? Because he was like vilified from birth, basically, and he's a big anti-hero, and I think that's what they want to paint Luca as, an anti-hero. But every time we've seen him, he's been literally just working like Tezzeret level, working for the bad guys.
Yeah, Luca's not cool. I feel bad for Mila, which is on the other side of one of the Luca cards, his companion Mila. But I just feel like Vraska hasn't done anything in a minute.
Sure.
And
man, what would the Golgari do, losing another one of their leaders?
Oh shoot. I don't know.
One up.
Tyvar hasn't done a lot for me, but
Sure.
I don't really remember a whole lot of the Kaldheim story at this point. Nissa, I just think it'd be kind of cool to have Nissa as a Phyrexian.
It would be. It's very interesting that like the duality of one with nature and one with machine kind of combining there. So I don't disagree with you. It would be cool to see.
I don't think they're going to touch the Wandering Emperor. We just found out who the Wanderer was. And I don't think they're going to touch Kaya. That's just my opinion. I think both those characters have a lot more that they're going to do that is not related to Phyrexia.
Well, these would be like those. I think like the Wandering Emperor, Kaya, and Vraska would be the 3 that would really shake up their individual planes the most, because they're all respective leaders in their communities. I guess Kaya left someone in charge, but
yeah, it was Rail. Not Rail.
Tomek.
Tomek left Tomek in charge. I don't think they're going to touch Jace. That's just me.
He's iconic. You can't, right?
I don't think you can.
He's untouchable.
And Nahiri's already kind of started the villain arc, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree
remember
with
that
that
video
too.
where Nahiri pushed that core off like
Yeah.
the. So
Nahiri only cares about Zendikar, so Zendikar is obviously about to get crushed by some.
maybe Emrakul comes back out the moon, so we got to keep Nahiri around for a
That would
minute.
be good. Phyrexionized Emrakul. That's what I want to see. Phyrexionized Eldrazi. That's what I
Yeah.
really want to see.
Yeah. So we'll see in a couple of, honestly, in just a couple of weeks. I think it's like January, like the second or third. I think it's the second week in January is when like previews start for All Will Be One.
Yeah.
So we will find out pretty soon.
Yeah, card previews start January 17th.
January 7th. So the
got
third.
3
Yeah.
weeks.
Okay. So we got like 3 weeks. That's crazy.
Yeah, so we can all just sit here and stare at Venser inside of what I assume is Memnarch, which is the only artwork that we got for Venser, Corpse Puppet.
Yeah. Yes. Also coming with Phyrexia All Will Be One, there is an update in relation to cards and their legality. There was an announcement this week that says, starting with Phyrexia All Will Be One, they are shifting philosophy on format legality a bit, beginning with February 3rd. When you have cards in your hand, you can play them, which is not much of a change for Commander. That's kind of been the Commander philosophy for years. As soon as you have them, you can play them. Our LGSs have also been that way. If a
Yes.
card just came out,
Correct.
you've got it, go ahead and play it. No one cares. The announcement says tabletop tournament legality has long been determined by the global release date. However, there's often been a tension between players receiving cards at pre-release and then not really being able to play with them until a week later. And digital play has not made any distinction between when cards are available and when they're tournament legal. So they're making things simple. So once you have them in your hands, you can play them. So for Commander, no real changes.
Yeah, I would think that like in the first week of Standard or something, this could shake things up. But honestly, it's been like you've said, it's been like that online this entire time anyway. So the first week of Standard is still always going to be shaken up the same.
And as soon as we play on our Commander streams, people put together playtest. As soon as the card's previewed, if someone's got a stream 6 hours later, someone puts together a deck like, hey, I'm playing this. Of course, go for it. It's
you're,
cool.
Even if you're using
Try
like
it.
Moxfield playtester or something, you might have a deck built before the card even comes out and
Exactly.
play it with it.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
we have a pre-release coming just a couple weeks.
Just a couple weeks. We also
a
have
couple weeks.
really exciting news for the podcast and our Discord, specifically to you patrons out there. We have a Commander League that's starting in
Yes, we have the
January.
details. I know we've been talking about it. We've gotten some messages from some of you over the last couple of weeks, and we finally have the information.
Yes. So our patron exclusive Commander League will be starting in January, and it will be running, depending on how you look at it. I mean, it's a year-long thing, but it's on a per-month basis.
Yeah, and you can participate in as many or as few as you would like. You'll play 4 games a month, and you can make changes each week. So like kind of progressive upgrades. And we'll have the themes coming out ahead of time, so you can start, figuring out which ones you want to participate in. Yeah, it's exciting.
We're looking at ways to keep track of a leaderboard, but it's not going to be in the traditional sense of just wins and losses, but we're going to look at impactful plays and who is maybe building their decks most on theme to that month's theme, and award points that way, and have sort of a leaderboard type of deal going on so that you can track how well people are doing in the league as the year goes on.
Yes. And we're looking at, keeping this budget friendly and budget conscious. We're looking at themes that would support that. We certainly understand it is not the most affordable hobby. We certainly understand having cards and constantly changing and building new decks can be expensive. However, we have used the Moxfield playtester before on our streams. We've played with folks in Discord using that. So we highly encourage, if you have OBS and you would like to set up the Moxfield playtester as a capture right into Spell Table, to do that. It makes Commander completely free.
Yeah.
OBS, open broadcasting software, is also free.
It's also free.
And if you have questions on how to set that up, we are certainly happy to help if you want to. We're also on vacation for the next 2 weeks. Mike and I are, so like we're available to like
help people.
Set all that kind of stuff up. So if you're
Definitely.
interested, but your thought was, shoot, I don't have the time to build that many decks,
Yep.
or I don't have the money.
Yep.
OBS is a quick download, and to set everything up might take you an hour or two, but building decks on Moxfield is super quick, and you don't have to truly put everything together on paper just to test out a deck for a month.
Yeah, I know. When we were originally talking about the details for this was one of my concerns, right? Was building a new deck every month, upgrading it every week, on top of the fact that, you know, Andy, you and I both have our commitments to streaming every other week and the podcast every week and stuff. But being able to do that, everything completely in Moxfield, including, you know, add $20 this week. You can track all the prices with your TCG player tracking within Moxfield, and everything is going to make that tool really good. And I'm looking forward to using it the entire year.
Absolutely. And I guess we can announce January's theme,
Yes.
which is a pre-con league. So
Yes.
we are going to start with the pre-con, any pre-con that you want. And each week you get to add $20 worth of upgrades to it, except that third week we're going to decide to add $40. So in the end, it'll be $100.
40, 60,
20, 40,
80.
60.
Well,
No, it's 80.
Is the first week, do you get $20 before you play your first
No,
game?
you just start.
Right out of the box, and then 20, 20, 40. So yeah, $80
So
total,
$80
plus
total.
a pre-con. If you do get this in paper, assuming your pre-con is $45, then it would be $125 for your entire budget. And hopefully when you upgrade with $20, you can sell the cards that you took out of the deck and make a little bit of your money back if you do it in paper.
The thing is also with the pre-con decks, there's a lot of cards that I just own that would work as perfect upgrades. So
Yeah.
so the $20 upgrades, at least for some folks, might not actually have to be out of pocket.
Very
it might
true.
just be, I'm just going to switch out these lands that I don't like for lands that I know that are
True.
more affordable. So our first month is going to be pre-cons. We tweeted about this and said, you know, what pre-con would you go with if you were joining a pre-con league? And we got lots of comments,
Tons of responses.
people talking about Edgar. There is the party deck, which I believe is the blue-white.
It's black.
Or blue. That's what I meant.
Mhm.
Black-white.
Yep, black-white party. from
Far
Baldur's
Wanderer and
Gate.
Barakos. Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
But yeah, Barocos and Far Traveler. No, not Far Traveler. Is it Far Traveler?
It's Far. Is it Traveler or Wanderer? Far Traveler.
It's Far
Yeah.
Traveler's the background. I don't know if that's the right background. but
People
yes.
posted the Dragon deck, the Mishra deck. Folks talking about the Necron deck, which that's the mono black one,
Mono
correct?
black. Yep.
Shorikai, which I
That's a
kind
good
of
one.
on board
Yeah,
with.
that's cool.
I mean, that one seems really cool.
Yeah, I guess-
Dungeons is being mentioned.
I like the fact that there is upgrading involved with this $20 because it doesn't make it so it's like, well, I have to get a pre-con from modern. When I say modern, I mean recent.
from the last 2-3 years.
When pre-cons have just been really hitting hard because you're upgrading by $20. It's like, oh, maybe I'll pick up that Atraxa deck and put some Planeswalkers in there for my $20 or something, and start putting a Super Friends deck slowly together or something. It's so open with that upgrade possibility.
I will say the most responded comment that we have here is the Necrons. Lorehold is mentioned, which is Oskir, and that deck's very good. Prosper. Someone did say Aloro because I could do lots of combos.
Yeah, you can.
And that one's pretty fun. Painbow. So any pre-con that you would like, you can select. I kind of was thinking though doing the M15 mono white Nahiri,
Yeah, it's
the
a good one.
Lithomancer, because on $80 upgrade, by the time you get to that last week,
Yeah.
you can really do a lot of heavy lifting in an equipment deck.
You don't have to upgrade your mana base really because
It's mono white, so I don't have to. Yeah, I don't have to do a ton of that. And there's been a lot of equipment support that has come out
Huge.
since 2015. I mean, it's been so long that. What are you thinking?
I like, for that same reason, makes me want to actually just pick the Necron pre-con because I don't have to put any money into the mana base there as well, and it just is really good out of the box. But I also feel like that's like too easy. So,
Yeah, you've played with that deck quite a bit.
Oh, yeah,
and the
I
reason,
love it.
And I didn't play with Nahiri as the precon. I had a Nahiri deck a long time ago, but I kind of want to play some of the precons that I haven't seen a ton. And I will say, you and I at least have played a lot with folks in our Discord and on streams and at the LGS. And I would say all the new precons I've played against probably at least once or twice, almost
easily.
all of them. But I don't think that's true for me at this point, going all the way back to like 2015,
Agreed.
2016, 2017.
Agreed.
Which is fun.
When we were talking, I said I always wanted to play the Kalia pre-con. I never got to do it because it came out before I played Commander. Actually, since then, though, I played against someone with that Kalia as Commander, and now I feel like I itched that scratched that itch. And so now I want to pick something else from that era. Maybe I'll go back to Prosh, the first pre-con I ever bought, and play that one instead.
So if you would like to participate in these leagues that will be going out through the entire year, all you have to do is become a patron. You can do that for as little as $1 a month. And you can do that over at patreon.com/Guardian Project Pod. But before we move on to our main topic, I was going to say subject, and then I said topic, and I was going to say sopic, but
it's a sopic.
A sopic,
yeah.
The secondary topic, sopic. We have some people to thank, which is you, all of you listeners, everybody who comes back to our show every single week. We really appreciate you. We are very excited to put on the Patron League with I would say we put this on. Chris Wolf is doing the heavy lifting.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Yes, Chris has put together a document, and if you are listening to this, you should now, if you are a patron in our Discord, you should start to see the channels to sign up, to go live. It's going to be, there's a whole document that was put together on what to do, how to sign up, how to say you want to be part of one, how to say you're not. It's going to be like just reacting to certain posts. We apologize in advance. We definitely don't tag at everyone very often.
Right.
We try to limit that. We'll do patrons in that channel sometimes, but we certainly know that getting pings from Discord is really obnoxious. And we hope you don't leave ours because we've been tagging just a couple times recently. But we're going to let everybody know. We'd love for you to join if you are not already a patron. But if you would like to join, again, Guardian Project Pod over on patreon.com.
Just for $1. And if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, however you are listening and enjoying the podcast now, if you could take a second to subscribe, rate, review, leave some comments, we'd really appreciate it. If you want to find us online elsewhere, we're on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You can search us up on Google. You can find our website, and you can even email us directly at guardianprojectpod@gmail.com.
All right, we have our list. It's time to check it twice. All right, so we are going to talk about cards that some folks clearly submitted because they might have, some beef with it.
Yeah,
I would say most of them folks submitted because they,
I want someone to tell me this is naughty. That's why they submitted.
Yeah. Raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by
blank.
By blank. So we're going to start out with Parker in our Discord asked us to determine whether or not Carter Doomscourge belongs on the nice list or the naughty list. So Carter is a 4/3 demon berserker for 2 black and a red. It says when it enters the battlefield, until your next turn, creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able, and attack a player other than you if able. So it's goad, but it's better than goad because it doesn't say goad. It's literally if this creature can attack. So if you play a creature that has haste or someone has a concordant crossroads out or whatever, it has to attack. And then it also says whenever an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So I know that I play this in my sleeveless Ixava Rakdos Blood Witch deck, and over at Command Fest Indy earlier this year, we played a game. You were in that game. Parker was in it. Dan Kraus, another one of our patrons, so happy to meet and see a bunch of people in person, was playing in that pod, and you had gotten knocked out because you shot for the moon. And we were like, no.
Every game
and we said this can't happen anymore. And it was down to the 3 of us. And I remember playing Carter, and Parker played down a creature that had haste because he had something out that was giving haste. And when he realized he had to physically swing out, it left him completely open. He took out Dan, and then I was able to take him out. I think that has stuck with him.
Okay.
So it's not technically goad,
sure,
but it's goad. It has helped me win a couple of games, which is leaning for me to put it on the nice list from my personal experience.
Sure.
However, I don't feel that Carter has done a lot to me this year that has made me want to put it on the naughty list. But if you take a look at some of the decks it can be in, it's mostly Rakdos decks. It's not really being played in anything beyond Rakdos decks.
Sure.
But I assume it's being reanimated,
Uh-huh.
and if it's being sacked and reanimated,
Yeah.
and you're being globally goaded essentially,
Yeah.
every turn, I could see why someone would want to put Carter on the naughty list.
I could see why they would want to, but I just don't agree because I love Goad. I think Goad's great, and this isn't even Goad.
Okay, so Carter is making the nice list.
Yeah, Carter's on the nice list, Parker.
Carter is on the nice list. Okay, what do we have next?
Next we have definitely another objectively nice/naughty creature. This one can also be your commander. It's a mythic. Its name is Najeela the Blade Blossom.
All right.
It's just a mono red card, but it can be your 5-color commander. So, Najeela the Blade Blossom, for 2 and a red, you get a 3/2 human warrior. Legendary creature. It says whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking. And then for the low cost of Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, and green, you can untap all attacking creatures. They gain trample, lifelink, and haste until end of turn. And after this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Activate this ability only during combat. So, a 5-color, obviously Warriors Matters deck. That's how everyone plays Najeela, as a
Definitely.
Warriors Matters deck.
Definitely.
No, it's a 5-color infinite combat. Oops, I accidentally, even if it's not infinite combat, oops, I accidentally killed everybody.
Now at Command Fest Indy, EK Plays Cards sent this in to us.
Yeah.
And at Command Fest Indy, we played against his deck titled Celebrity Deathmatch,
Mhm.
which does not play with Najeela in an infinite combat way.
It's true.
Or even as Warrior Tribal.
Nope.
It's a lot of very cool cards. It wants you to attack. It's going to make you drain life. I can't remember the exact card, but like if your creature isn't tapped or something, you lose a life, or if it is tapped, you lose a life.
Angel's Trumpets or something like
Angel's
that.
Trumpet.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
It gives things pseudo vigilance, and if they don't swing, you lose life or something.
yeah,
like
it says
that.
attacking doesn't cause creatures to tap, and at the end of each player's turn, tap all untapped creatures they control that did
could-
not attack. And then Angel's Trumpet deals 1 damage to that player for each creature tapped
Yeah.
this way. So it's doing things differently.
Mhm.
I know that he was giving out warriors, which was kind of
Yes,
cool.
yes.
We both lost to it, but I
Mm-hmm.
heavily said on Twitter, repeatedly, that's the word I'm
Oh,
looking for,
okay, sure.
repeatedly said I enjoy playing against that deck.
Yeah, it was
and I
fun.
had a lot of fun. So taking a look though at my tracking spreadsheet, the number of times played against Najeela this year,
Uh-huh.
it was twice. So
Okay.
I've only seen Najeela twice.
Was it EK both times?
It was not. EK was one. And then just at one of our LGSs, someone had an Najeela deck that did go infinite. With,
Okay. Yeah, there
that
you
one,
go.
it did do the generic thing.
So in your personal experience, 50% of Najeela decks are on the nice list and 50% are on the naughty list?
yeah. So this one is, I'm getting half and half. But I will say, playing against EK's deck made me change my mind about how heavily invested I was in disparaging the Najeela deck,
Sure.
because it was too much. It was too
Mhm.
much. But I think I'm going to go with the nice list for Najeela this year. She's been good this
I
year.
think we can. Well, EK, your Najeela deck is on the nice list, but it's being led by someone with questionable morals.
Ah! Yeah, so we do like Najeela. Next is from Faded MTG, who asked us to look at Rionia Fire Dancer. So Rionia is a mono red commander that we've talked about on the show before. 3/4 human wizard for 3 red. It says at the beginning of combat on your turn, create X tokens that are copies of another target creature you control, where X is 1 plus the number of instants and sorceries you've cast this turn. They gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step.
It's a really good card.
Fantastic card. It was the most winning commander of my commander decks last year.
Mhm.
It got a lot of new cards this year. It got Bloodthirster, not Bloodthirstier,
Not Thirstier.
Bloodthirster, which is infinite combats, but it's looking to make copies of creatures that do a lot of very strong things on end of the battlefield, like Fanatic of Mogus, just to deal damage equal to your devotion to red, or Stormkiln Artist having multiple copies that says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you make a treasure, so you are going to get a lot of mana off of that. It's like a cool combination of red Spellslinger, honestly, with just neat creatures that do a lot of stuff. Combat Celebrant, Terror of the Peaks, Tectonic Giant, Combustible Gear Hulk. So lots of really gross things. I will say, whenever I see Rionia, it is a remove it or you're gonna die to and I do appreciate it's a little different each time. It's not the same every time, right? Because it can be any of those creatures, but they all ultimately end with you just dying.
Yeah, when you have 8 of it doesn't matter, you're probably going to win.
Exactly. So my opinion here is that I would put Rionia on the naughty list.
Yeah, I think I share your opinion, and I went over to EDH Rec to see like how popular this. It's the 6th most played mono red commander.
Really?
And that's why I wanted to see if I would also put the top 5 in the naughty list. And other than Zada Hedron Grinder, I would also put the other top 5, the other 4 of those 5 in the naughty list. So definitely Rionia is going in there. And that's Krenko Mob Boss, Magda, Brazen Outlaw, Thorbrand, Thane of Redfell, Zada Hedron Grinder, and Neheb the Eternal. I think Zada is like niche enough where it doesn't go in the naughty list and it's too cool to see it actually work. Every other mono red in the naughty list, therefore Rionia on the naughty list.
Wow. All right, that's our first naughty. Rionia Fire Dancer, you are getting some coal this year.
Yes. Next up, we have at Girl Dick Energy. Quinn asked us to review Rhystic Study to see if this makes the
age-old nice question. Santa wants to know if Rhystic Study has been good or bad this year. Okay, in 2022.
Heck yeah, we got two reprints of Rhystic Study this year in artwork that I care about.
So Rhystic Study for 3 mana, 2 in a blue. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1.
Yeah. It's a card that we've been playing for a really, really long time with some problematic artwork, and we finally got 2 reprints this year with Unstable Harmonics, which is the alternate name for Rhystic Study that came in the League of Legends Secret Lair. And then most recently in Jumpstart 2022, we got brand new artwork for Rhystic Study. So not great in terms of the availability, I guess, of those particular reprints, but cool that we finally got some new artwork. And I've never had a problem with Rhystic Study. I mean, pay the 1 if you can, and then if you can't, people get to draw cards. It's not.
I'm on the same page as you.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem when people play Rhystic Study. I would rather play against a Rhystic Study than a Smothering Tithe.
Sure.
Because the Rhystic Study keeps cards in their hand, which, sure, maybe you can do some nasty things with that. But the Smothering Tithe lets them play out their hand. Now, they can run out of cards when they're playing Smothering Tithe, so I get that. But I always feel a greater sense of dread when I see a Smothering Tithe come down than I do when I see a Rhystic Study. And that could be because I play Rhystic Study myself quite a bit.
Sure.
So this is, according to EDH Rec, in 280,000 decks, it's in 30% of every deck that can possibly play it. That's obviously online for the last 2 years. It's a truly ubiquitous card. I think Quinn wants it to be on the naughty list.
Yes, but if we're only looking at this year, though, is Rhystic Study worse this year compared to last year? I would say no. And we got 2 brand new artworks.
Yeah, I think because the new artworks, Rhystic Study's making
it's on the nice list. The Rhystic Study's going to get a nice wrapped up gift from the Guardian Project.
Can you
podcast.
believe that? Everybody, this is the truth. Like we said, this is undisputed factual list. Rhystic Study's nice. Next is from Dave the Noob, who asked us to review Kinesos, a priest of Thassos. This is a newer card from Jumpstart 2022. A 1/3 Merfolk cleric for 1 and a blue. It says if you would scry a number of cards, scry that many +1. So that's cool. And then it has pay 3 and then a 1 hybrid of the Simic colors, so green or blue. So 4 mana total, 1 of it has to be green or blue. It says, look at the top card of your library. If it's a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent, you may put it onto the battlefield. If you don't, you may put it on the bottom of your library. So it's like the new hotness for sea creature decks. And I think it's pretty cool.
It's very cool. I have you seen anyone play with it yet?
No.
Yeah, me neither. I haven't even seen.
To be fair, it's only been out for like a month.
Yeah, but I would expect even some of like the really big name YouTube channels or something to have one on there, and I feel like I still haven't seen one out there.
And I think honestly that's because of just the sheer number of legends that we're getting.
They're
now.
still going through bro legendaries.
I haven't seen anybody play Emperor Mihail II other than myself.
Yeah, that's true. That's
you
true.
know,
which is surprising because people like Prof out there who love Merfolk so much, you would think that they would have that as their Merfolk commander.
It's just there's a lot happening.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot happening. So Prof, if you do that though, and you hear this, I'm happy to come on your show and play Emperor Mihail II.
Yeah, do 4 Merfolks.
That'd be fun. That'd be really fun. So I think Kinesos, Priest of Thassa's get the nice list from us.
I think it's going to get nice list. I can't wait to see someone do the contrary and put like a Maskwood Nexus and then free cast Eldrazi's from the top of their library or something. And when that happens, it'll go on the naughty list. But until that happens, Kinesos, I think.
Are they making them into sea creatures though?
Like with Maskwood Nexus. Or any of those other
nasty.
Cards. Yeah. Arcane adaptation.
Okay, so once you're personally victimized by
yeah, exactly.
So, but it has to do something naughty. It hasn't done anything naughty yet.
Right.
As
of right
now.
And
that's what that's what Santa asked us to do in 2022
it's
so
suspiciously
far.
sitting in a corner doing nothing. I can't say anything bad about it.
And that's most children. Okay, maybe that was me. Who knows?
Okay, next up, we have someone with suspiciously the last name is you, Andy.
Oh my gosh.
It's your husband. Nick Flory asked us to look at the card Mere Battlesphere to see if this should go on the nice or naughty list. Mere Battlesphere, for 7 generic mana, you get a 4/7 artifact creature Mere Construct. It says when Mere Battlesphere enters the battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless Mere artifact creature tokens. Whenever Mere Battlesphere attacks, you may tap X, untap to Mere you control. If you do, Mere Battlesphere gets +X/+0 until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it is attacking. So a 7 generic mana artifact that's been reprinted like 15 times now or something like that. I mean, I have never heard anyone complain about this card before, except one person complaining that their husband puts it in too many decks.
Sure. So it sounds like that person's me. Okay. So Mere Battlesphere, let's talk about this.
Sure.
Mere Battlesphere is never cast. No one spends 7 mana on
Correct.
it. It's always cheated out. So the top commanders that play with Mere Battlesphere are commanders like Alabu, Ancient Witness, Feldon the Third Path, Oskia the Reconstructor, Brutaclad, things that care about tokens, things that also care about artifacts. Nothing about Mere Battlesphere is fair. Like nothing that it's not trying to say like I'm gonna just make some tokens.
I'm just a 4/7 creature that makes 4/1/1s. That's all.
Yeah, I'm just a Widow 4/7,
Yeah,
and then it just taps
4/7.
a bunch of mirrors. But to be fair, I guess you can say any other card's not fair. But also, it's colorless, so it can go everywhere.
Everywhere.
It can be a nuisance in any deck that can cheat it out. For that reason, and because I've been personally attacked by it multiple times in 2022, I have to put it on the naughty list.
I'm so surprised, even with your disposition, that you're putting it on the naughty list. Like, but I do understand seeing it in like a Brutaclad deck. It's a win con in a Brutaclad deck. It's really good. And in a Brutaclad deck, I see you already highlighted it red as naughty. I don't agree with you, but I will. Are we
gonna split it? Are we gonna split this? We're split.
Yeah, I'm gonna get. I think
we have to tell Santa that he has to make the final decision. We can't.
I like that Mir is on the naughty list and Battlesphere is on the nice list for our highlights here.
Exactly. Because we got to do a recap. We got to do a recap at the end, and you always have to make sure we know. All right. At Angus992 asked us to take a look at Ajani Mentor of Heroes. And Ajani's behavior over this last year. So Ajani Mentor of Heroes is a planeswalker for 3, a green and a white, and has 4 loyalty, and says +1, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. +1, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an aura, creature, or planeswalker from among them. Put it in your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And then -8 to gain 100 life.
Yeah.
So this card itself is beautiful. I love it.
Nice list for sure.
Yeah, nice list.
I don't know if I've played against it this year.
Yeah, I don't. I played my Joda deck I think twice, and I don't think I played it against you actually this year. But it is in there.
Okay.
And I don't think Ajani sees a ton of play, honestly, this Ajani in Commander. However, if we are talking about Ajani's storyline this year, I also still think, though, that like Ajani would make the nice list, because even though Ajani has been corrupted, just before it happened, like Ajani recognized and was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like, I mean, Ajani wouldn't have done it on purpose.
Mm-hmm. It's like the fact that we can recognize that Ajani wouldn't have done this on purpose, even if he would, like, I don't know. Like, if someone goes in real life and gets brainwashed and goes and does a crime while they're brainwashed, I think they still go to jail.
But has that ever happened?
I'm sure. I mean, like, you join a cult and a cult tells you to do something or whatever. You're still doing something bad, even if you believe it's
but
good.
I don't think Ajani joined intentionally.
No, I guess he didn't join intentionally. But
No.
but a lot of people probably don't join a cult intentionally. They probably don't even call it a cult while they're inside of it. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I think we're pretty set, though, that Ajani, we're still putting Ajani Mentor of Heroes, because that was the card reference.
That's right. That
on
card,
the nice list.
definitely.
Yes.
Okay, the next one, we are not looking at a single card, but actually a mechanic that returned this year. We're going to look at the Meld mechanic.
Yes, Jester Vest sent in the Meld mechanic.
So Melds is a keyword that we got that is going to combine two cards into an oversized card by meeting certain criteria that are set out by those cards. And we got 3 brand new pairings of Meld cards in the Brothers War set. We got Titania Gaia Incarnate, which is the combination of Titania Voice of Gaia and Argoth Sanctum of Nature. Urza Planeswalker, which is the combination of Urza Lord Protector and the Might Stone and Weak Stone, and Mishra Lost to Phyrexia, which is a combination of Mishra Claimed by Gix and Phyrexian Dragon Engine. Personally, I always like seeing mechanics that are really hard to put together come back. I like niche mechanics like this. This isn't a parasitic mechanic either. I mean, you do need to play both cards, but the cards work on their own if you put them in a deck and whatnot. And personally, I really like that Meld came back. I haven't seen it in any of my personal games, but I've seen it on YouTube a bunch of times, and it looks really, really fun.
They're hard to flip, and when you flip them, they're cool. The old Meld cards, because this is the whole mechanic, so not even just the new stuff, right? The whole mechanic.
I mean, we were looking at Naughty Dice List this year, I guess, but you're right.
But I have seen the Meld mechanic.
You saw it happen this year?
Yeah, I've seen Brizella this
Nice.
year. It was my own. It's fine.
Oh, okay. That's still.
So nice list. I mean, it helped me out.
Yeah.
It was great.
I put myself on the nice list.
I put myself on the nice list. I have not seen either. I have not seen any of the new 3. They've only been out for a short period of time.
Sure.
But I know, I think the Titania and Argoth combination to the Titania Gaia Incarnate. Maybe it seems the most popular just because of folks that we talk to and folks that talk about things online. Obviously, all 3 of these can be the commander, and then the other card goes into their deck.
Thank you, Wizards, for doing that.
Which is great. That not one's white and one's green, and then you have to get a different color commander and put them both in.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that all 3 can be together. And for that reason, honestly, it might be that reason alone, is that they work the way that I would like to see them, and they make people happy because of that.
Yes.
I'm putting the entire Meld mechanic on the nice list for 2022.
Easily. It's like if there was a double nice list, I'd put it on the double nice list too.
But there isn't. There's only a single nice list, and there's no double list. I don't know what you're talking about. The next card was sent to us by Davos, and this is Goblin Snowman, a 1/1 goblin for 3 and a red. And it says, whenever Goblin Snowman blocks, prevent all damage that would be dealt to and by it this turn. So it's like a fog bank. It's just like a perfect blocker, which I like.
Yep.
And then it has tap it. It deals 1 damage to target creature it's blocking. So it's not very strong.
Nope.
But I love its blocking capabilities.
I like the artwork. It's Christmas themed because it's in the winter. It's got a snowman on it, and it's very on theme that like Goblin Snowman itself is not a goblin, and in fact is just a snowman with 3 goblins behind it. And you try to hit the snowman and nothing happens because it's just a snowman, and then the goblins come out and like smack you in the face.
So because we haven't played against this card, let's take a look at what EDHREC says about it. So it's in 402 decks. So it's in 0% of 908,000 plus decks. Okay, so it's not in very many. But its top 4 decks are all goblin commanders: Muxus, Goblin Grandee, Wart, Boggart, Ante, Crinkle Mob Boss, and Grenzo Dungeon Warden. None of those are surprising.
Nope.
It's a 4-mana goblin that is a perfect fog for a single attacker, and it taps to deal a damage.
It does die to direct damage.
Sure.
It only doesn't die to combat. It got brand new artwork in a secret lair as well. Very pretty artwork, in fact. It was in
2020.
In 2020, so recently, 2 years ago, by Victor Adam Minguez. Some really cool artwork there. So for that reason alone, I think it's playable and cool in Goblin decks, and I have no reason to put it on the naughty list.
And Goblin Snowman, you're on the nice list.
It's going on the nice list. All right. Let's talk a little controversial on this next one from Geek Beardly. We're going to review Possibility Storm and see if we're going to put it on the nice or the naughty list. Possibility Storm, for 3 red, you get an enchantment. It says whenever a player casts a spell from their hand, that player exiles it, then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then they put all cards exiled with Possibility Storm on the bottom of their library in a random order. I see this come up a bunch. People like to play this in their mono red decks. It works particularly well in the OG Mishra Artificer Prodigy, which you probably never see because it on its face isn't very intuitive for Commander. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may search your graveyard, hand, or library for a card with the same name. So in Commander, in our singleton format, that's usually not very good. But with Possibility Storm, you can actually search for the card that you attempt to cast with Possibility Storm. And outside of that, it is a chaos card. It is all about just, I bet I know my deck better than yours and know that if I cast my Soul Ring, I have a chance of getting my God Pharaoh's Gift off the top of my deck, and you have no idea what you're getting because you didn't prepare for this. I understand a lot of people consider this a pretty salty card because you can't play the deck that you intended to play. You have to play it very randomly and chaotically. But personally, I love the chaos. It might still go on the naughty list, but it doesn't mean I don't like it.
I don't know if I've played against this card this year. So I wanted to look to see if any new commanders use this card.
Sure.
So when I skedaddled on over to EDHREC, it looks like the only new commander from this year is Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy with the background Passionate Archaeologist. So it's a blue-red Spellslinger deck, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's only in 20 of those decks.
Sure.
But that is 25% though. Obviously the number is skewed because there's only 80 Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy, Passionate Archaeologist decks.
Makes sense.
On EDHREC.
Uh-huh.
So, not a whole lot of numbers to look at, but, some years cards are good and they're not so bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Possibility Storm was naughty to me this year. I don't have it referenced on my tracking spreadsheet at all.
Sure.
Usually with the card, like when there's an individual card that comes up that like really warped the game or was the reason, I'll type it into the freeform text and I'll be like, oh, this was a crazy Possibility Storm. It's not on my spreadsheet.
Yeah, if someone were to Thieves Auction gets written down on the sheet if I didn't just scoop on the spot to the Thieves Auction. But Possibility Storm.
I can't remember the last time someone played Thieves Auction, but it wasn't in LGS. It had to have been in 2019.
Yeah,
at this point.
And I think that's the last time I saw Possibility Storm 2 was like back in a mono red October type of deal day. I played this in my Is It Spellslingers deck because I thought it would be fun because I don't really care what spell I'm slinging and just to go some random stuff. But I think this is nice list this year.
All right, Possibility Storm is nice list. Next we have from Travis Anderson, Send Triplets. And they want to know if this makes the naughty or the nice list. So Send Triplets, if you're not familiar, is a legendary creature, a 3/3 human wizard for 2 white, blue, black. And it says at the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. This turn, that player cannot cast spells or activate abilities and plays with their hand revealed. You may play lands and cast spells from that player's hand this turn. So you can build it in a way that you're just looking to optimize playing what everybody else has.
Yep.
However, Send Triplets has been historically known to be kind of a tough deck to play against.
Sure.
And one that, I don't know.
Because you play it Esper Control, and then anything to win the game, you're playing out of other people's hands. So the entire deck is typically Esper Control.
Yeah. Typically, it's played. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it was played so much as Control with just a lot of, green light, red light. With you can do this and you cannot do this, and like it wasn't. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe that's control.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
explaining,
tax,
right? But it was
death and taxes.
Yeah, I mean, it was more of a Mother May I, but that's not.
Sure.
But that feels like control. My experience with that wasn't always, that way this year. But I do want to read, and this is what I wrote for one of my games, and this was in my actual notes, which was from July 3rd.
Mhm.
I played against a Send Triplets deck. And I wrote, this game was pretty miserable. We had to deal with Send Triplets for 4 turns in a row.
Mhm. I
I was playing Rhoda and Timon and swung with a 15-15 Rhoda. So clearly some creatures had been tapped for whether it was me or whatever.
Mhm.
I swung with the Rhoda at the Send Triplets player, and there was someone that was on red, and they were playing Ketis, the commander that has partner, and whenever a commander that they control deals damage to a player, it deals that much to each other player.
Yeah.
That part doesn't really matter. I just needed to set the tone here that they were in red.
Yes.
So I swung with Rhoda, and they used their Teamer Battle Rage to give my Rhoda double strike and trample, which was enough for commander damage to take out the Send Triplets player that had us all truly on a full lockdown, basically, because I think it was my hand that was revealed, and I did have like a counter spell. So it was like there was nothing I was going to be able to do on that turn when they were going to do things that were going to be an issue, right?
For sure.
And then and then I looked scary because I had a couple of it. It was a lot going on. So my only experience, and that was the only time Send Triplets came up this year, and I wrote that it was a pretty miserable game, and it was very long, and pretty grindy. So for me, if I was asked, I would have to say from my 2022 experience, Send Triplets, I don't know if you're I think you're on the naughty list.
I used to have a Send Triplets deck back in the day, and I think I got to cast a spell from someone else's hand like once or twice, and I must have jammed like 10 games with it before. People hate Send Triplets. They don't want Send Triplets to stick. It's for a good reason. Stealing is against the law.
I'm calling the police.
And Send Triplets will not only be on the naughty list, but I'll see you in court in 30 days.
I will see you in court
for your court hearing of theft. Grand theft, if that. So Send Triplets, naughty list, always and forever.
Sorry, Send Triplets.
Okay, Micah had an interesting one, which I'm glad I had some actual notes to talk about this one. And this is Gut, True Soul Zealot. This was one of the legendary creatures from Baldur's Gate, one of the uncommon legendaries from Baldur's Gate that had choose a background for 2 and a red. You get a Goblin Shaman 2/2. It says whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature or an artifact. If you do, create a 4/1 black skeleton creature token with menace that's tapped and attacking. And again, with that, choose a background. So ultimately, I think just looking at this card, it's a very fair goblin that probably cares about doing Rakdos sacrifice. So is Rakdos sacrifice on the naughty list? Maybe, but that's not what we're talking about. We're only talking about Gut, True Soul Zealot. I know on episode 165 we reviewed shamans and we looked at the commander map, and we saw a deck called Gut Does Crimes, which uses criminal past background with Gut. And criminal past says commander creatures you own have menace, and this creature gets +X+O, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. And it was also a sub-skeleton tribal deck.
I love that.
It's literally just for that reason why Gut definitely goes on the nice list. The deck was so cool to look at. It was a budget deck. I've never played against Gut as a commander. I think Gut's been in the 99 a few times that I've played against it. Hasn't been super impactful, but I don't know any other goblins that are making 4/1 skeletons that are tapped and swinging, and it seems like a really cool card I'd like to see more of. I think it goes on the nice list.
Okay, perfect. All right, Gut's on the nice list. All right, and then our patron lounge mentioned the goad mechanic. So I know we talked earlier about Carter and it's not goad, but now let's talk about actual goad, because goad is a mechanic that forces a creature to attack somebody other than you if possible. It was a mechanic that is used in a multiplayer format. Obviously goad is not useful in 1v1 because it says if it can attack somebody else, and it can't, so it can still swing at you. I learned that many years ago with my Miri
of the coil
breaker
deck.
of the coil.
Yes.
Miri
Marisi
breaker of the coil, not Miri.
Marisi. It's a cat. They're both cats.
It's a cat. So I've had some experience playing against goad, but not a lot. I would say when we have our pregame chats before our commander streams, you put together
A list of 8 decks usually.
Well, yeah, no, but you put together a Goad deck.
Yes, I do have a
that
Goad deck.
plays with
Bailiff Baratel as the commander and Master Chef as the background. So Bailiff Baratel is a 2-power, a 2/5 that says creatures with less power than Bailiff are goaded. So with Master Chef, it'll be 3 power when it comes out.
So I have both a positive and a negative, or I guess a 4 naughty and a 4 nice here. And it's that I think when we've had those conversations with guests before the stream, I would say more often than not, you end up putting away the Goad deck because what we're typically looking to do is I think we feel it's more harmful to play against a Goad deck that's just passively goading than playing against a deck that says, I choose to goad this
choose a creature
just when it's
goaded.
always goaded, right?
Yep.
So there's the for the naughty is that I think most of the time we've said, hey, do you mind not playing that? So that I think that says something.
Sure.
However, we got a really nice YouTube comment just a couple of weeks ago about your exact Goad deck that said, I'm about to put together this Goad deck and I'm really happy to see what Goad does and what your deck has done.
There we go.
Right. So we got somebody who's very excited to play with Goad. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to leave it up to you.
Okay.
In that most of our guests and me have asked you not to play that Goad deck because we didn't want to play against Goad. But also we had a wonderful viewer and listener who wrote in and said, I'm really happy you played that because I want to put one together, which means that you did something right that makes them happy.
Sure. I definitely will take that all day and say, obviously the viewer is the right one out of everybody. But I think Bailiff does goad a little bit different. Like Marisi, Breaker of the Coil, goads everything. And
when you deal damage
when you deal
to that
damage,
player,
all of their creatures are goaded. And I think Bailiff having the mechanic of only lesser power creatures, those are the ones you want to goad anyways. To be fair, you want to goad the 1-power creatures.
What if they're all little though?
Well, yeah, if they're all, yeah, it definitely, if someone's playing a token strategy deck, that's where the Rule 0 conversation comes in. But the last time I played Bailiff, there wasn't a single creature that died during combat that was goaded.
Sure.
Not a single one. So everyone got in. You didn't have them up as blockers anymore, but I feel like there are some games where Bailiff doesn't feel bad, and then there's some games where I get Colossification on Bailiff, and now literally everything's goaded all the time.
Yeah, everything's scary.
And so I think it just depends on how you build your deck. I think the goad mechanic itself is a half and half for naughty and nice as well.
All right, so we're gonna do half and half for goad, but you're on thin ice goad.
Yeah, I like goad personally.
I'm gonna put go is on the naughty list because
and
it's forcing me to go, but
ads are a good thing. You're saying
ads get people sponsorships and money and things, I guess. So ads are good as a marketing background.
True.
You know, with a marketing background and
True.
as a marketer, I'm going to go with the ads are good.
Okay.
All right. So this one is just for you. These are our last two,
Yes.
Mike. I will not weigh in on this one. I need you to tell us if Witness Protection is on the naughty or the nice list. So Witness Protection is an enchantment aura for 1 blue mana that came out in Streets of New Capenna. It says enchant creature. It loses all abilities and is a green and white citizen creature with base power and toughness 1/1 named Legitimate Business Person.
Yeah, this is I mean, thematically it's naughty because you're making someone go to work.
Honestly, I kind of like that. Yeah, you're not wrong.
But ultimately, I think of all of the enchantments that like remove a creature's types and all that kind of stuff, this one isn't turning it into a land. It's not turning the creature indestructible, which on the face sounds good, but the card that I'm referencing also turns it into a 0/1 and indestructible. So there's so many ways to get around it of just destroying it, or it gets destroyed. You can still swing with it and everything. So no, I think this makes a nice list. This is good blue quote unquote removal. That's not really removal. It's a good card.
Okay. I like that. I have only had Witness Protection played. I've played it a little, and I've had it played on my Niv Mizzet Perrin, and I thought that first off, Niv Mizzet is not a legitimate business person. They are ruthless, and it did not make sense.
Is Niv Mizzet ruthless? I mean, he's like supposed to be the head of all rat. He's supposed to be not so ruthless anymore. You're supposed to be a calm,
Yeah, well,
collected CEO at this point. CEO of Ravnica.
okay, well, it's being run like Twitter. Okay, witness protection. I did enjoy playing against it this year because I got to make, we got to talk about characters being legitimate business people. And there's also a Twitter account where you can share when a card has had witness protection played on it and how many cards have been a legitimate business person. So witness protection. All right. Although I don't like cards like Imprison in the movie because if you use it on someone's commander, it feels pretty gross, but you can block. It's not indestructible and it's not turned into a land where you're like, how in the world am I going to get this back? So it's on the nicer list of those naughty cards. So witness protection is on the nice list.
All right. My card for you, Andy, is one you've seen by many people this year, at least 2 people, I have to say. And this is a background, Shameless Charlatan. For 1 and a blue, you get a legendary enchantment background that says commander creatures you own have pay 2 and a blue. This creature becomes a copy of another target creature. It doesn't have this text, but I'm going to add this reminder text. This creature is still your commander.
Yes. So I looked it up. I played against a Shameless Charlatan deck 9 times this year.
Okay.
So
8 of them mine or no?
I did, to be honest, I have not looked at how many. I think so, because one was our friend Andy Zupke from the Scrap Trawlers was playing a Shameless Charlatan deck. So I think 8 of them were yours, though, because I don't think I played against anybody else that was playing this background. And we'll talk about that when we do the big episode deck on backgrounds in general. But I will say Shameless Charlatan has always been more of a cool play, and you haven't done anything really nasty with Shameless Charlatan. You have, at least in my experience, you've picked something that's usually just giving someone else a lot of value. You're like, hey, I too would like that same value you're getting from whatever's happening with that creature that you have. And for that reason, I gotta say it's nice because sometimes it's going to be really nice. Sometimes it's going to be really nasty because it's that charlatan is shameless.
But it's only as bad as your opponent's creatures. Right?
Exactly. So they deserve it. Is what we're saying.
I agree.
You got to be able to take what you're dishing out. Exactly. So Shameless Charlatan, I think it's got to go on the nice list. So let's do a quick recap of our nice list cards. So we have Carter Doomscourge, Najeela the Blade Blossom, Rhystic Study, Knessos Priest of Thassa, Ajani Mentor of Heroes, the entire Meld Mechanic, Goblin Snowman, Possibility Storm, Gut, True Soul Zealot, Witness Protection, and Shameless Charlatan.
Yeah. You at the very beginning of that, when you just said Cardor, Najeela, Rhystic Study, I bet a lot of people thought we were reading that naughty list again if they weren't listening to this
Can you believe that?
But on the naughty list, we have Rionia, Fire Dancer, and Send Triplets. Those are the only 2 cards on our naughty list.
And we're gonna make Santa decide if Mirror Battlesphere and Goad, the whole Goad mechanic, should be on the nice list or on the naughty list. We would love to hear from you about where you would put Mirror Battlesphere and Goad. I have a feeling that if Santa heard everybody's opinion, they'd probably go to the naughty list. Yeah, but
probably.
We were split.
It's about Santa's opinion, though.
Exactly. So that's it for this week. We had a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody, for sending in those cards for us to take a look at.
Yeah.
And if you want to chat with us more, you can find me on Twitter at Andy Fleury.
You can find me on Twitter at Wormcoil Engine, and we hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. Whether you celebrate or not, we hope you enjoy whatever type of break you get. If you're in a place that gets some snow, I hope it looks nice and doesn't make you too cold. We will be back next week to look at a look back at 2022 and talk about some of our favorite cards, sets, mechanics, and things that happened in our personal lives a little bit, at least. Talk to you next week.
Bye, everyone.